You're listening to Power Talk, Berkeley Electric Cooperative's official broadcast about the cooperative, our communities, and ways to use energy wisely. And now, let's join our hosts for today's episode. Good morning and welcome to Power Talk. This is Mike Aponte, the Communications and Media Specialist here at Berkeley Electric Cooperative, joined as always by Miss Libby Rogue, the Director of Marketing and Communications.
Good morning, Mike. We've got a great show today. We have two of the most personable engineers I think I've ever met.
That's an oxymoron, isn't it?
So, I worked at higher ed a little bit, and there's a stereotype, you might expect, attached to engineers. So stereotypes will be busted today.
Stereotypes are also rooted in truth, but
ouch. But no, they defy the stereotype. Yeah.
There you go. The exception that proves the rule.
Oh boy.
We're off to a good start this morning, folks. Welcome to our friends from the engineering department. I don't like math, okay? So I got a little bit of resentment going on here. A little deep-seated resentment for people who can add more than 2 plus 2.
So,
yeah, I got that.
Chris, Robert, welcome to the show.
Yes, we have Mr. Chris Rutledge, the Vice President of Engineering, and Mr. Robert Matthew, a System Engineer, number 2.
Ooh, dose.
Yeah. So, what we do here on Power Talk, is, for the folks who listen, is we introduce our guests and we give them a chance to tell them a little bit about themselves and how they ended up here today. But the first thing that we have to do is bequeath an official Power Talk mug to our newest guest who's never joined. Where's the clapping thing? That took too long last time.
Yeah, you pushed too many different buttons.
Yeah, pushed a lot of buttons. Wait. I think it's... There we go. Yeah. For our newest guest, Mr. Robert Matthew, here on Power Talk.
Yes. This is great.
All right, but Libby said we got a lot to cover, so I should probably get things back on track.
Robert, tell us who you are, why you're here.
There you go.
Make it easy. We go there. So I've been here at the co-op for about 4 years now. I got some experience in transmission, about 4 years doing that. Before that, Army veteran, did some military communications for about 6 years. Education-wise, EE, electrical engineering degree from Citadel, MBA from the Citadel.
Nice.
And what I do here at the co-op, just trying to figure out ways to improve the system. How do we prevent outages? How do we mitigate outages? What's the best way to kind of make the system as strong as we can? So, yeah.
Yep. Well, thank you for your service to our members and our country.
That's right. And Mr. Rutledge has been here before, but remind our listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do for the co-op.
Yeah, grew up in Columbia, went to USC, go Gamecocks.
Hey, there we go.
During school, worked at another co-op and just really loved the co-op environment and the people and just the many hats that we wear. Came down here, been here about 20 years now. So reliability's always been ingrained since I've been here, and now we've got some great folks to keep up with that improving reliability.
Yeah. So how many engineers were there when you started?
3. Well, 4 really.
And how many are there now?
6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we just got another one. He's from Clemson, but we won't hold that against him. But
we'll have to see if he works out.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. Well, if you've lived in the Tri-County for more than just a couple of years, you know how fast the Low Country's growing and how much it's changed. Chris, you've been on the front lines of that during your tenure here, obviously. But our crews and our contractors are busy building new services by the thousands every year. But as fast as we're building new stuff, we've got to maintain the old stuff, which is where Robert and Chris come in. We're clocking about 6,600 miles of energized lines. So, we work all year on proactive measures to help keep the lights on. So, Chris, how do we approach prioritizing improvements to our system and then creating an actionable work plan?
Yeah, so what we really start with is what we call the long-range plan or engineering plan. It's a 20-year plan, and we do it every 10 years just because things do change so often here in the Low Country. But what we look at for that is like these huge pockets or like developers. Where is a developer coming? So when I first came here, there wasn't a Nexton, there wasn't a Cane Bay, but those were in our long-range plan. We knew there was some growth that was going to come that way.
Yeah.
So that's our long-range plan. Then what falls out of that is our construction work plan. It's a 4-year plan. So it gets more down into the details. We need this particular job. We need to more voltage support here or a substation here. So it's more of your near term 4 years, because in the engineering world and operate just in the co-op or utility world, especially nowadays, we have to plan way ahead. Lead times on things is very long. Getting that labor in there it takes some time. Then what falls out of the construction work plan is what we call the system improvement list. Robert really takes the reins on this one, actually, but we meet probably quarterly, if not more often, but it pulls those jobs out of the construction work plan and gets down to the nitty-gritty details. We need a switchgear here. We need this here. And so we constantly prioritize all of those plans, but especially the system improvement list, because that's where our distribution plant budget falls out of.
Yeah.
So it's really important to finance as well, and to keep downward pressure on our rates. To prioritize is extremely important.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask is, it's not only where the needs are for service and reliability, but it's also what can we afford? We may want to buy a new car this year, but can the family afford a new car? Maybe we've got to save for it, or that sort of thing.
Yeah, so all those, they're based on new growth, but also we have to maintain our existing infrastructure. So, and a big part of that is also inspections. We have a lot of inspection programs that we just to maintain, like you said earlier, we have to make sure we're there for the new members, but we have to maintain our existing system, both with those jobs and inspections.
Yeah. And if you're not familiar with Berkeley Electric, we have been in business since 1940, so over 80 years, and we serve portions of the Tri-County. The name is deceiving sometimes, so we're in portions of Charleston, Dorchester, and Berkeley County, out to the islands, to the National Forest, through some metropolitan areas. So a lot of diverse territory, all varying age equipment. So those inspections are huge to see where the needs are.
And there's a lot of things going on when it comes to inspections. Like y'all mentioned, I think we have total miles of line inspected is a little bit higher than what our quote unquote, published number is. We've been over 7,000 miles of inspections for our lines.
Last year.
Yeah, just last year. And putting that perspective, continental United States is only 2,800 miles wide. So we can crisscross back and forth with the miles of lines we've inspected. Poles, we've inspected over 10,000 last year. Underground structures, 3,200 miles of right-of-way that we trimmed, over 500 miles of right-of-way. And then something that folks might not think about is wildlife guards. One of those outage prevention measures that we have to put in place, because unfortunately squirrels and other little critters are a thing, and they do cause outages, and we've installed over 1,800 of those in the last year. So let's go district by district and talk about that construction work plan that you mentioned, and take a look at some of the projects that are up on deck. And let's start with our most meter dense district, which is Goose Creek. What's going on in that area, Robert?
Yeah, that's Goose Creek. It's a certain place to home to me because it's kind of the district I lived in. I grew up in. My whole family's in there, so
nice.
It's every time there's an outage in there, I get family and friends texting me, "Hey, my power's out again."
Yeah,
I'll text you too. Since
I was about to say I get those texts as well.
But one of the big ones we got, we're almost finishing up with that one, first section of that one. We got tall pines and treeland right there off 26. So we had some overhead lines going through backyards, weaving up and down, in and out through people's yards and fences. We're going to take that and put that underground. We had that in our plan
years ago,
and then the straight line wind event back in 24 kind of accelerated that.
Tornado.
That's Rob Fowler said straight line wind, so I got to stick
Rob Fowler's wrong.
Yeah. But I went around driving around looking at some of the damage out there in the neighborhoods around it, and it was insane
intense.
event.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then kind of around the same area, Fairfax, Coventry Green, right by the Aldi's and Goose Creek. We do have some more overhead in the backyards. We're going to look at putting that underground too. We can put it underground, kind of reduce exposure to that one, and that kind of helps feed the ties, feed the system, and provide more options when we do have an outage. So that one, we're just finishing the design and rolling into construction. So we're ordering equipment for that one. Lead times have been a struggle with. We usually 5 years ago we were thinking, yeah, this will be here 3-4 months. We can get started. That's great. Now we're seeing a year and a half, 2 years plus for all kinds of equipment.
So,
Yeah.
Robert, just to jump in, you've talked about two overhead to underground conversions. You know, when we have a big storm or extended outage, we hear all the time, why don't you just put everything underground? It's a strategic decision for us because of cost and
Yeah.
Access.
Access is huge. Yep.
Yeah. Cost and trying to get to it. I mean, and then you're losing that inspection program. You can't, it's more difficult to inspect underground. You know,
'Cause
you
it's
have
in
to
the
go.
ground.
Yeah. You can't really see it. We don't have a probe that can go follow the
Yeah.
conduit. So you kind of have to take experience on that one and see how are we looking at this. So
And underground lines aren't totally immune to outages. You know,
No,
it's got to
yeah.
come above ground at some point, and that equipment is susceptible to problems. But the cable itself underground can fail as well.
that happens too. Yeah, that's just like everything. If the wheels on your tires, if you use them over time, it's going to slowly wear out over time. So
And as we've experienced before, we do live in the low country, so we're at the water table, so any significant flooding can make that underground become underwater. So another issue that we have to deal with as well.
Oh, yeah.
So we're also doing some work at the State Road substation.
yeah, right there at 176 and 17A, that intersection right there, that is a very
Yeah.
very happening spot. Everyone is moving there. We've got
Indeed.
4 or 5 developments picking up in there. So
Yeah.
we've got 2 or 3 substations around the area that are currently feeding it, but we're looking at adding a brand new substation there to support strictly that. So that helps us with loading, with voltage concerns. The further you got the line out, the lower the voltage gets, and that power quality kind of dips a little bit as you get further out. So if you get more people closer to the substation, adding more substations there, we can expect better quality power.
But, you know, kind of like with the underground, it's an investment. It's a strategic investment because I would imagine substations aren't cheap.
Substations are not cheap anymore. I don't think they've ever been.
Yeah.
But it's a solid base because load is the big thing with that.
Yeah.
So many houses, we can only feed a finite amount of houses from one substation. So once we start getting to that limit, are we able to make sure we can securely feed this?
Yeah.
You know, we can add more.
Yeah.
So
And there's a lot of businesses. I know since they've demolished, they're getting ready to rebuild the new Publix and Goose Creek up and heading out to the Carnes Crossroads.
businesses,
Outlets.
hospitals going out there too.
Yeah.
So
A
a lot of needed infrastructure there, and
A new
everything runs on
school
power.
that's going to be coming up
Yeah.
out that way.
Yeah.
So I
2
mean,
new
yeah.
schools, next in Black Tom Road. They just finished the one right in the back of Carnes.
Yeah.
So
And that's why it's important to do these construction work plans, long range plans, because that was actually one that was in our plan 20 years ago. We knew that was a pocket that was just going to be developed. You know,
Yeah.
you have a couple major roadways.
Mm-hmm.
So we plan way ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Important.
Yeah, definitely. So how about Monk's Corner, Chris? What's coming up in that district?
Yeah, so the one we're finishing up right now is what we call our Jamestown double circuit. So it more or less goes on 17A from Highway 45 to our Jamestown sub, which is near Highway 41. So obviously that's going to help us with reliability. If we have 1,000 members on that line and we put 2 up, you're going to essentially divide it in half. So our reliability is going to go up. So an outage is going to affect less members, but it's also for voltage support and backfeed capability. That's actually one of the main reasons we're doing this. Just during storms, that's an area that gets hit pretty hard, and we may have to backfeed it with our Macedonia sub or somewhere else.
Can you explain what backfeeding is?
Yeah, so backfeeding, if we have, say, equipment in Jamestown that goes bad, whether it's in our substation, transmission, or just a major line, car hit a pole, tree falls on a line, what we do is we try to reconfigure the power and we feed it from another direction and pick up as many folks as we can. Sometimes our system, we try to do as much looping as we can, so we are able to backfeed. But unfortunately, there's some areas like the Jamestown, which is kind of like a radial. So it's out on its own. There's one way to feed it or one way to backfeed it. So we're trying to increase the amount of ways we can pick up members during a major storm or even just a normal outage.
So backfitting's the isolating of an outage to restore power to as many people as possible while repairs are made.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, because with that
Exactly.
straight line, once you have an interruption, everybody downstream from that line is out until you can repair what's
Right.
going on. And like you mentioned, if it's a car hitting a pole, that can be several hours before they are able to get out there and repair the pole. And with the ability to backfeed, it might take half an hour to get those folks on the other side of the break
Yeah.
back up and running while the repairs are going on. So yeah, hey, I learned something new from all my time here at the co-op.
There you go.
You got any openings there in the engineering department?
We can
No,
make
right now,
Nope. fully staffed, Micah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's also really important during like major storms. So, if we have an outage or something like that, you may not see a truck in your area, but know that they're upline. They've got to fix the things first that are upline of you before they can get to you, or maybe that thing upline they fix and then it fixes that whole circuit. So just because you don't see a truck out in your yard doesn't mean we're not working on it. Trust me.
Right. And then, like you mentioned earlier, access to a lot of these things are sort of off the beaten path where they might be working. So that's another reason why you might not see a truck.
Yeah.
But,
So what about Cooper Store, another fast-growing area?
Oh yeah. So Cooper Store, we've been working on what we call 25 kV conversion. We've done that in a good many areas in Goose Creek in the Lebanon area. So strategically, Cooper Store is the next one that's natural, but it's also there to support Cane Bay. Cane Bay's grown at the scene. It's over the 20 years. I think they probably started in 20 years ago, but I don't even know how many members, 12,000 if not more. But Cooper Store will support a lot of that for backfeed capability. And also Cooper Store just has longer circuits because it's your Long Ridge, your Black Tom Road, Cooper Store Road, and they're just longer feeders. So this is going to help voltage support in that area. But it's a long process to do 25 kV conversion, but it helps with our line losses. So it helps our power bill. And it reduces it increases the voltage, so you reduce the amount of amperage, so we can actually feed more members if we need to, or it give us more backfeeding capability or capacity, I suppose.
Yeah, sorry, friends. I don't have a follow-up for that.
So
Sounds good.
you'll see a lot of construction crews out in the Cooper Store, what we call our Cooper Store area, in the next, say, year. And hopefully we're going to, in 27, we'll probably actually do the conversion itself. And it's a week-long process sometimes, where we have to de-energize a whole section at a time, and we'll have every lineman that we have in contractor, and so we can make the outages as short as possible.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worth it in the long run.
Yeah. So as you guys are doing this type of work, there are times when we have to do what we call a planned outage to convert, like you're saying,
That's
that
right.
sort of thing.
And whenever we do conversions, we're not only, main thing we're doing is changing transformers so they're ready for that larger voltage. But whenever we're up on the pole, we're also changing out cross arms, maybe poles, maybe all the equipment on the pole. So it's really rebuilding our system almost too. It's not just preparing for this. We're getting some of the dated equipment off and putting some new stuff up that could last longer.
Nice.
well, folks, if you're just now tuning in, we're sitting down with a couple of our engineers talking about all the things that we're doing to maintain and improve the system here at Berkeley Electric Cooperative. Robert, I mean, we've hit a couple of the districts already. I know that you've been involved in Johns Island, which, if you've been down to Johns Island, it is an extremely fast-growing area. So what do we have planned down there to help support those folks?
Yeah, so Johns Island, right there at the marsh, we're actually dipping our toes into our first steel pole composite toll project. So we have some poles don't really like to stick in muddy water, so trying to figure out a way to kind of keep the poles from standing up. So that's going to be a first time for us. So we're trying to see how well that works out, and is it applicable to other areas of our system. We have parts that go through the National Forest. We've got some places that go out in very, very rural areas. So this is kind of our proof of concept, kind of see, is this going to be a solid idea for us moving forward?
Yeah.
So
Nice.
is the juice worth the squeeze? So
A saying we love in this part.
Heard that once or twice.
yeah, that's gonna be a good one, and that's tying up about the same spot down on the River Road. They're doing a lot of road construction going into the island. So moving into there, you can see you got a 2-lane road two lane roads coming in. So expanding that out, putting a roundabout there at the River Road and Main Road. So we've got overhead lines going through there. A lot of trucks, a lot of everything coming through it. So we kind of want to protect that.
Yeah.
Keep that keep the power flowing. So we're gonna put that underground. That's gonna be a good project right there. And then to support the growth going around the island, we were looking at a double circuit, kind of like the same situation with Jamestown, where we're following two lines on one right away, one pole. So down Mainbank Road coming out of our Johns Island sub, we're gonna double circuit that. Some finishing with the design on that one, about to roll into construction. The big issue with that one, the big challenge we're gonna see is traffic control. I mean. Yeah,
there's traffic on Johns Island? No.
Especially Maybank.
Yeah, especially on Maybank. So
nonsense.
But this is one where we have a lot of growth down there at the River Road side. So having extra lines in there, having more capacity, having more sources to feed the load in there really helps us out with reliability, really backfeed capabilities, and
so
keeping everything rolling.
If you're traveling in that area, pack your patience.
Yeah.
And I mean, Johns Island is one of our more unique areas that we serve. I mean, it is a barrier island, so I mean, reliability is an issue because it deals with a lot more storms there along the coast. It's very almost subtropical, so stuff grows like crazy down there, and it's a special place, and people want to preserve the natural beauty down there. So it really does become a balancing act between maintaining and growing our system and preserving the unique characteristics of that district.
And just driving down the road, seeing the oak trees on both sides, it's just like this is beautiful. Like this is kind of why I love this area.
Yeah.
And that's taking that deeper into Kiowa Island. We're doing some cable replacements out there too. So that's just keeping an eye on infrastructure. Where are we looking at? Going off of our inspections to see, hey, where's a viable place to kind of look at improving the system and keeping what we got working. So that's fun.
So we've been through 3 of our 4 districts. Last but not least is Ondaw, our most rural district. Chris, what are we working on there?
So one of the biggest projects that we've been working on there is McClellanville Substation. That's probably been started before Micah was even here, maybe.
It was one of the very first things that actually the transmission line was was the first thing that I worked on when I came here. We were doing town hall meetings with the folks in that area, discussing the need for a transmission line. I think 26 years later, we've finally gotten close to getting an approved route.
That's right. That's what we're working on right now. Is we know where we're coming from. Now we're working on the route, just like you said. And Central and RUS helps us with that, but it's a long route, but it's really going to help the people in that community.
Yeah.
And that's typically one of our least reliable areas, just because it is rural. It's fed by a very long distribution line, actually from Dominion. And we do reliability studies, especially Robert and Alec, all the time on that area, just to try to do what we can. But this is really gonna help. It's actually been on the White House's desk for the past year, so it's a high priority for the government as well.
The transmission line or the substation?
The transmission line.
Okay.
Yeah. They I think that was last year that it was Central let us know this on the White House's list of utility stuff that they need to do. So, but in the RUS helps us with that, get that at the top of the list because it's definitely needed. The other one, it's more or less to build on that, but also help in the meantime, is we're going to conductor some wire on 17 in that Ondaw, McClellanville area, just to support the load out there. There's some long single phase lines, and by putting, going from one wire to 3, it's going to help support and balance that load. And then there's a little bit of commercial out there too that requires the 3-phase. So, but that one's been on our list for a while, but I think we're finally starting to get on that one. We see the need.
Well, I mean, and like you mentioned, there's some growth. I mean, I remember our old office used to be on the outskirts of Mount Pleasant. I mean, Mount Pleasant would end, and you'd have to drive another 5 or 10 minutes to get to our office. And now that office is well within what is considered Mount Pleasant, and our new office is further out towards McClellanville, right there off of Steed Creek Road. So, I mean, yeah, the growth in every direction in our service territories is not slowing down anytime fast. And then, going back to that transmission line, folks might think, okay, why does it take 26 years before you can even get a route approved? And once again, go back to the unique characteristics of the Low Country. First of all, we've got a lot of natural resources that we need to preserve. We've got the national forest. We've got the delta at the river. And then, of course, you've got your archaeological sites that are important, and then of course we've got homeowners that we have to take into consideration too. So I mean, it really is a dance when it comes to balancing all of these different competing needs, and the fact that we are not slowing down in growth. And it's our jobs, they're y'all's job, not mine, your job to make sure that we have enough infrastructure to serve that growth. I mean, they're not responsible for the juice, but they're responsible for getting the juice where it needs to go.
That's right. Most of our new substations, we're lucky enough where we can find a transmission line within a couple 100 yards or mile. This is one case. There's no transmission lines close, so that's why it's taken so long, all the environmental needs that we need to consider.
Yeah. So one bonus project, we've been through the 4 districts. We're refurbishing our old mobile easy for me to say, our old mobile substation from the 1970s. So it predates my existence on this planet. Robert, what's the goal of this refurbishment?
So we've talked about substation transmission bringing power to the substations, but what happens when there's a problem in the substation? So
we ran into that on Johns Island.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the mobile comes in, and we can have a mobile substation going out there and take the place while we repair what's there. We can work on it. We can fix anything in there. So it's a backup to our main plan. So,
and it's literally a substation on a trailer.
Yeah. So it's like on an 18-wheeler. We'll carry it. It's got a flatbed. We have an entire substation back in there. We don't need a gate with it because it goes inside the gate. So that's a good spot. So
this is probably a long process. I would imagine they don't have a lot of substation parts laying around.
Yeah, and everyone else is growing too. So I'll let you. A lot of the manufacturers are going, hey, do we look at just selling to brand new people, or should we look at repairing what's there? So it's kind of like your repair shops.
Yeah.
Is it worth it to open just a repair shop, or is it better to open up a new car dealership?
Yeah.
So we found a good repair shop, someone that's reliable, and they've got our truck in the shop, and they're working on replacing the oil, doing a full tune up on it. You know? That's your analogy for buying a new car or buying or fixing your old car. That hit it right there on it.
Yeah.
Is it sometimes it's worth it just to put new tires on the car and keep it rolling. So this is a great analogy for us. We're looking at saving, millions of dollars. That would be a big cost for our members, for everybody in there, and we can still do the same. It still serves the same purpose.
Yeah.
So.
And so the price comparison, it is significantly less costly to refurbish the old one. We're looking at about $1 million to do this work instead of $5 million for a brand new one.
Yeah, and we got lucky with that one. We do have a backup. We did purchase a new mobile substation that stays here in the Moncks Corner area.
2020,
and that was right before COVID hit.
Yeah.
And jumped up all the prices on that too.
Yeah.
So we got a really good deal on that.
Yeah. So, and the old one generally lives in the Johns Island district for a variety of reasons.
Getting DOT permits, going across bridges. It's a lot of work to get it in there. So if we keep it on the island and can stay there, we can have it readily available and dispatch it right when we need it there.
Yeah.
So.
And if the worst happens, the bridge gets knocked out.
I was about to say,
it's there.
Yeah, I mean, with Johns Island, we've talked about how unique it is in terms of location, but it is an island. So, I mean, it can get isolated during a storm, a major storm. And so having that backup generation on site gives us more options when it comes to restoring power and making sure that everything's okay. And I mean, even we mentioned there was a part where the control house one time caught fire down on Johns Island. And at that time, we did not have the mobile sub down there. And yes, it was quite the process from what I hear of getting it down past all the, the trees and the lines and everything else like that. And so, yeah, that's sort of become its permanent home, because anchors that into the system. You know, it's uniquely vulnerable. And I mean, that was one of the reasons why we built the Johns Island office the way that we did. So if the island becomes isolated, it can operate almost as its own little utility for, you know, a week or so until we can make sure we can get down there, just to keep the folks at Johns Island happy and get their power up as quickly as we can. Well, folks, that's a lot of information in a short amount of time, but that's going to do it for this edition of Power Talk. This is the official broadcast of your electric cooperative. You can catch up on past episodes on streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple, and iHeartRadio. And as always, get a behind-the-scenes look on Berkeley Electric's YouTube channel. So until next time, this is Power Talk, signing off.